Hi, I'm Sean. I make things, I break things, sometimes on purpose, and sometimes a cool guitar comes out. Hey there, thanks for checking in. Today we're going to get a bit meta. This video is not about guitars or building guitars or making anything else. It's about making stuff for this channel and the equipment used for it, specifically the video cameras and batteries. Recently, I did a video job, which is yet another thing, involving these two cameras set in static positions where I wanted them to record for over 4 hours. Didn't really think my setup was going to hold out that long, and it didn't. But I learned a few things along the way. We got the Sony ZV-1, very popular tuber camera with external Sony microphone, XY deal. My newest and latest and greatest, Panasonic Lumix GH5 II. And both of those were backed up with their internal batteries with a couple of these fairly inexpensive USB battery packs. Each have a couple of 5-volt USB-A ports, USB micro, and USB-C. Handy things, but what was interesting, the Sony does not take enough current to actually keep itself going while it's recording through its own USB input. So the battery powering it never died, the camera just quit. It would then charge its own battery, but wouldn't restart unless I went and manually hit go. Then it would go for a while, die again. The big boy, the proper grown-up camera, the Lumix, completely sucked this dry, like a vampire. Unfortunately, these don't come back to life as anything. So that difference in behavior caused me to think I need to find out what's really going on. What kind of current does the Sony draw? What do I need to feed the big guy? The internet provides, as always. Here's a inexpensive little USB power meter with Type A port on it, in and out. Another slicker little guy with USB-C in and out. We'll see how those go after we zoom in and I'll just see what's going on with these. Okay, I think that's close enough so you can read what I need you to read. Let's start with our handy Sony ZV-1. Real popular among YouTubers. The white version was $10 cheaper when I got it than the black. But being a guy who makes stuff, maybe not the best choice. The marks show up. Oh well, there it is. I've had both cameras earlier running and recording. Right now we are recording in 4K, just like it would when I do a job and set this thing up to record static. This is just old enough, still has a USB micro port on it, although new enough that people kind of complained about that. Rightly so, I might say. And then we have our power supplies. Nothing much to it. These actually have a solar makeup charger, lights, which is actually convenient for working in a dark club. I got the two of these, same model, from the same place. Yes, it was Amazon. A couple days apart, because I liked the first one. Ordered another one right away. Same brand, same model, same source, but we noticed the printing's a little different, and I didn't notice until after the ports on the one are upside down from the other, relative to the other external features. Makes me think the outfit putting these together isn't really the kind of outfit you might think. But anyway, here's the specs. It's supposed to make 2.4 amps at 5 volts on all ports. Make sure I can read that. Yes, same, all ports. Let's see what the Sony draws for real. We have the usual bunch of different cables here. Now in the good old days, or the dark ages, we might want to call it, let's use our meter, USB Type A ports by reg, all were supposed to give you at least a half amp at a steady 5 volts. And then things got more complicated. We had more power being provided, different data rates being provided, and now the new fancy port different voltages, many different power levels. The cables are getting smart, if you can call it smart. It's a new world. Let's see what that buys us though. Make sure this guy's on. There we go. Okay, the Sony is on. It's recording, powering its microphone. Our meter, this one just switches back and forth between voltage and current. Getting a steady 5 volts out of the power bank. Current varies a bit, up to just over a full amp. Take it out. Camera's still running on battery. Okay. Let's just see if the ports are all the same here. Again, providing steady current. Okay. The other guy now, again, we have to be relatively upside down. Get you out of the way. What do we got? Good steady supply. Doesn't make quite the same voltage, but that's enough. Looks like she's doing about the same. Okay. But now, what does the camera really need if it's not going to drain down a battery? To find that out, stop it. For most camera models, you can get a dummy battery. This fits the battery bay with the appropriate contacts, but then outputs to your choice of power supply. One inconvenience with the ZV-1, if you do use one of these things, there's no provision for this cord to stick out, which is slightly inconvenient, but very inconvenient, because now you can't close the battery door, and guess what? The mounting screw is right next to the door. There's ways around that take time and money. I have one of them coming. Let's just see how it does. Put that in there. Oh, of course I can't turn it on. What does Mr. Power Meter want to say now? Alright. Power on. Drawing a bit of current just to operate. If we start recording. A little more current. More variable though. No surprise, this device is actually being pretty busy right now. Taking in audio, taking video, writing it to the card, possibly in batches. However they work. And that's all it really needs. Interestingly, it's not a lot more than what we saw with the battery in there. But from experience, we know this thing will drain its battery. Hey, now what's going on? Oh, of course it went off. That wasn't very kind of me. Writing to memory card was not. Don't cut off power in the middle of recording. Good lesson. But card format completed. Okay, there we are. We're running, taking power, recording. Okay, slightly amusing. But anyway, we know we want a little more than an amp at 5 volts consistently. Keep this camera happy and recording. Multiply those together times time. We get it. The power, the energy needed, and we can size a battery bank appropriately. Alright, there she goes back there. Now what about this other fellow? We might expect this to be a bit more hungry. Right now running an internal battery. Instead of recording. Okay. Now if I want to use one of these battery banks, this camera actually has a USB-C input meter. What will the camera take? About half an amp. Okay. Now that's something else interesting that I found. There was already concerns about these battery banks being built consistently. This one doesn't give me the same results on the 2 ports. That's curious. What about our other friend? No, the camera tells me yes, I'm getting current. And now it's giving me over an amp. Well, isn't that something? And now, nothing again on the, we'll call it the right port. Well, that seems weird. But now what if, stick with the same cable. Stick with the same cable, but now we're going to use our other meter and the USB-C port on the battery bank. Well, hello. Make sure you can read that. Okay. The This little gizmo, let me just talk about it for a second. Pretty slick. If I want, I can switch to a mode that gives me not just current, but peak and cumulative data. I can bring up a graphing mode. Or back to just real-time display, which we're going to stick with. So here we are on the USB-C port. We're still giving just 5 volts, but now the 1.3-ish amps. This one actually computes the wattage for us also. I'm not going to check the math on that. Let's assume it's right. The other guy, same again, shows 5 volts. No current at first. And after a little bit, still no current. The camera is still on and recording. Right. So, inconsistent results with these off-brand battery banks. Probably going to set those aside to use for less important things. How can we eliminate the battery banks? We have a way. Here's a power supply with the good old-fashioned wall plug. There should be no doubt about the current coming from this. So nowadays, like I said, we need to come out a little bit again. And bring you over. Okay. I said the USB world is getting more complicated now, no doubt. This power supply has 8 ports. There are 4 different kinds of ports here. We have 4 USB-As, 4 USB-Cs. Yeah, I take it back, 5 different kinds. Our box, focus on that, yeah. Our box shows we have different voltages and current levels available for each port. How the heck is that supposed to work? And what happens, going back to our Sony, if I use the dummy battery with that? Because remember, this guy just had a USB micro port on it, and there are strenuous warnings from everybody about these dummy batteries with the Sony ZV-1. If you give it more than 5 volts, you will kill your camera. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have a port that can give me 3 different voltages, 4 different voltages, different current levels. How does it know? Let's jump ahead. I'm going to take a big camera, and because even cords matter nowadays, we're going to use a brand new name brand cable. The camera's still on and recording. I'm going to go right for the top port, which is a USB PD type port, power delivery. Try to put this where you can see it. $9 volts over an amp. Now she's given 10 watts. We were getting 6 watts from the battery packs. Let's do that again. Watch now. No current. Current ramps up. devices now will negotiate what voltage is to be provided and then control the current until it gets what it wants. Which sounds like a good idea, but well, if you've ever dealt with different generation of HDMI devices, I know this is going to be unpleasant at times, as each device has to introduce itself over and over again every time it connects and renegotiate all that and advertise, here's my capabilities, here's what I need, back and forth every single time. I doubt this is going to work smoothly going forward. But have what I wanted. I know what this camera really needs, coming from a thing that can supply plenty. Now I can size a battery pack for this. But let's just go through. What else did I have here? This guy has, let's see the other types. The bottom guys give 5 volts and a few amps. Let me see. Yeah, 5 volts over an amp. 6.8, 6.7 watts. Won't give as much power as the other port, even though it should be capable of giving at least 3 amps. Why? Who knows? It's upside down for us. Let's try it. Okay, USB power supplied, 5 volts. We did not negotiate up to the other voltages it says it can do. But it's giving 1 1/3 amps. Yeah. How about the other guys? Let's go down to. Oh, there we go. Where was it? Here we go. Down at the bottom. 1 1/3 amps. Any of those would probably work. But still, we wonder, is the camera taking all the power it needs or still relying on battery, and will it drain it down? We can work on that too. For this camera, we also have a dummy battery to a USB-C port. Same problem as before, without modifications. The cord doesn't want to sit in there. Thankfully, the mounting screw is well away. Put that again where you can see it. Camera on. What do we got? Still 9 volts. Current ramps up. About 0.6. Start recording. Around 0.7 amps. Recording in 4K. A little over 66 watts. Yeah. There's no battery in the camera. That should be all it needs to do the job. Oh, again, there. I have my number. I can size a battery bank for that camera. For energy and power. Okay. I hope that was a adequate little nerd fest to keep your electron-loving heart happy for the day. It's been a big frustration for me, not knowing what was going on, not helped by the fact that these things are, they're still really handy, but they don't do what you always want them to do. Let's check on my porch. I think I have something that might help with all this. You may have heard of the Anker brand. Probably one of the better reputed import suppliers of battery and USB power equipment. That's kind of hefty. 140 watt high speed power supply, rated at, can we read this up here? Yeah. Anyway, here's our guy. Ins, outs. Oh, look at that display. It's kind of pretty. And yeah, 24,000 milliamp hours. Okay, quick note. Is a rate. A rate of storage capacity. Doesn't give you energy though. Energy or power. Power is also a rate. To get it from electrical devices, you need both current and voltage, and to get energy, time. At any rate, this thing is supposed to give plenty of juice to power one of these. The display just said it is, how did I make that come on? By accident. 90% charged. Let's see what's in our goodie bag. That's what, as expected, a USB-C to C cable. Now note, these things can supply over 100 watts of power. Now it becomes critical what cable I use. This ancient thing that probably came free with a small music player 15 years ago, you know that may not cut it. Oh, here. C1 in, out, C2 out. Okay. Let's try again. Oh, that made, yeah, okay, that made it come on. Camera on. Start recording. We're getting the voltage and current expected. The battery bank has its own display giving the same information. Naturally, this guy cost as much as about 3 of these, but probably has the same capacity in total and all the other nicer features to it. That's kind of slick. Coolness. And off. Alright. What else did we get from Small Rig? Oh, ain't that pretty? Look at that wood grain handle. So this is interesting. Why is there a little screw sitting right there in the middle? Oh, and they give us a wrench. Isn't that cute? Okay, see what's about. You know, I said the Sony battery Battery door, if I use the dummy battery, it's hard to get to the screw here. Well, there she is, installed. Nice extra grip. I probably should have not pinched my hand cord. We'll take that off in a minute. And full access to the battery door. Many other mounting holes. Even a cold shoe. I think that's what that is. Yeah. More accessory screws. Just, yet again, knockout product from Small Rig. Great value. What was it, $30 I think? Yeah. I dig it. Of course, that's just another piece of other gear. More gear. More gear. Every day I say that. Where does it all go?
rhyme, 'cause you forgot the melody that our hearts would always groove.